and you have heard me. I believe in your word. You have searched me and you love me. I believe in you, and you have opened us. We believe, oh, we believe, yeah. And you have broken the chains. We believe, yes we do. We believe, yeah. We believe. So just lift up your hands, lift up your voice as we sing to Him. We're going to tell Him that we believe. We believe in the price that He paid. We believe that He came. We believe that He loves us. We believe that He gave everything for us. Oh, this you have saved. You have heard me. I believe. You have searched every part of me, and you love me. I believe. And you have opened us. We believe. Yes, we believe. Yeah. You have broken the chains. We believe. Yes, we do. We believe. Yeah, we believe. Woo! Oh, we believe. Yes, somebody shout it. We believe. Woo! Yeah. Oh, and I believe in what you say, in what you do. I believe, yeah. I believe it, I believe it. And what you say, and what you do. I believe it, I believe it. And what you say, and what you do, and what you say, and what you do, and what you say, and what you do, and what you say, and what you say, and what you do, yeah, and what you, and what you, and what you, and what you say, and what you do, and what you tell me. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. And I believe in what you say, and what you do. I believe it, I believe it. And what you tell me, and what you said in your word. I believe every word that you've told me. I believe it. And what what you say and what you do.
Can we put our hands together? All right. So please, if you don't mind, can we begin to take our seats? And I want to appeal to us to fill the seats in the front row, yeah. And the rest of us, let's limit ourselves to, let's come to this row. Okay. Please, as you come forward, kindly fill the front seats. And those of us at the my extreme right, please come to this row. All right, thank you very much. So can you just greet your friends and your neighbor warm good morning? Just nudge the person with your shoulder a little bit. Just nudge the person with your shoulder. Yeah, just say good morning, good morning, good morning with a smile. All right. Just even if you can't smile, just try and smile. Just try. Just try and smile to your neighbor and just nudge the person. All right. Having said that, I welcome you again to this session of Lead. My sisters, please, if you don't mind, my brothers, can we come this way? Thank you. Can we come this way? Okay. So I welcome you to another session of Lead. And today's session is a unique one because it's a plenary session, and that means that we're going to spend time communicating our thoughts, what we have learned in the past 2 series of Lead. We're going to share if you have any insights and there are things you want us to learn from you, probably from your own personal experience or others' experience you want to share. You feel it will throw light into our thinking. There will be an opportunity for that. But before we go into that aspect, we will just go through the slides of the last 2 sessions, remind ourselves what we taught, and the floor will be open. There will be microphones for us to share our thoughts. Is that okay? Is that okay? All right, good. Now, this has been our anchor scripture, Proverbs 23:7a. And if you don't mind, can we just say it together so that we can reassure ourselves that we understand this verse? Can we say it together? 1, 2, go. He thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you are female here, please don't feel as if you are left out. That he also covers you. You can also say for her, she thinketh in her heart. So can we say it one more time? 1, 2, go. So is he. Okay, good. Now, we've been talking about a subject titled Right Thinking. And the overall theme has been attitudes for success. So a particular subject in that theme, attitudes for success, is right thinking. And the reason why we're talking about right thinking is because we have come to recognize the power of our thoughts to the extent that, as the Bible supports, when a man thinks right, most definitely his life will be right. But when he thinks wrongly, most definitely his life will go to the pattern, along the pattern of his thoughts. So you see people today, their life is going towards the wrong direction. It is so obvious. It's not just because they have an attitude to do wrong. No, it's just because their thoughts are patterned towards a direction. They are not thinking right. Because if they were thinking right, they will do right. And you can see good examples of this kind of attitude in our society. You see a lot of people that are doing things because they are thinking the wrong way, and it's affecting the way they behave. You can see them in different strata of the society. You can see politicians that are thinking wrong. You can see nations that are thinking wrong. And you see the way their policies are going. Rather than their policies bringing them out of slavery and poverty, their policies are further enslaving them. It's a product of wrong thinking. So we have thought it wise that we as individuals, we need to sit down and think that there is a way to think and there is a way to think right. There's also a way to think and a way to think wrongly. And those are the things we're going to be discussing briefly. So, in the first session, we had a discussion on right thinking, and we were discussing under three pivots. The first one is the law of true growth. The second one was objective thinking. And the third was harmony is power. I hope we remember these slides. All right. So, we did say that a man's real success in life can be measured by his usefulness as a member of the society. Do we agree with this? Do we agree with this? All right. Now, this was said by Sir William Van Horn. And just to buttress a little bit, he was an industrialist in the 18th century, and he was responsible for building the rail system in Canada. And story has it that he was able to achieve that great feat in less than the time that was allocated for that project. So if he says this, probably he has, all understanding and authority to say that. All right. So, right thing, he says, weak habit of thought is the underlying cause of unhappiness. So in other words, when you see people that are sad, moody, depressed, it's probably as a result of their thinking process. On the other side, he says, if you have a strong habit of thought, it will make you superior to your environment. You'll be able to dominate your environment and even your body. And he says you must have abundance mentality to work in abundance. Next. All right. So the first one is the law of growth. That the only limit to your growth is the one you place by your thinking. So your thinking can limit your growth, can stifle your growth. And you see the other thoughts there. It talks about the most fundamental principle of true growth. I am what my thinking makes me. All right. So a few truths that we learned on that day. It says, your thinking about others can place a limit on you, not on them, on you. And I think we will discuss that when the session starts. And it says, learn to see God in others, and it matters how you treat them. And just the last one, it says, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Next slide, please. The mind is, somebody said the mind is everything. The mind is everything. Everything starts from the mind. What you think, you become. So, I will just stretch that a little bit. What you have become is what you have thought. All right. So, control of your thinking leads to self-mastery. And it says, take control now. Take control of what? Of your thoughts. Good. The next one was objective thinking. Objective thinking. And it says it involves two fundamentals. Separating facts from information. Separation of facts can be into two classes, the important and the unimportant. So we must learn to distill them. We must learn to divide them. All right, next. And we share some truths. It says the ability to separate facts into important and unimportant is a lever. You know what a lever is? Like a switch, a determining factor, something that can move an object, considerably. So the ability to separate facts into what is important and what is not important is a lever. I want you to know at this time that from all the information that you get, either from the internet or from lectures, even in school, there are some that are important and some that are not important. Do you agree with me? There are some information that are not important at all. They just jump at you. But if you lump all of them together and you begin to ruminate and consider all of them, you will run into trouble. So for you to be objective in your thinking, you must learn to separate what is needful, what is important, and what is not. And let's just go to the last box there. It says, objective thinkers deal with facts, regardless of how it impacts their interests. They are brutally honest. They deal with facts. For instance, if you come out and say, I'm doing well financially, nobody will argue with you. But you see, one thing you will learn to do is to look at the facts. Maybe the what they call the KPIs, the key performance indices of that, or the way you measure your wealth is in how much is your bank account. If you say, I am wealthy, no problem. But look at the facts. What is your balance sheet saying? That will tell you whether you are progressing or not. I learned this when I was much younger, because there was something my mother used to tell us. She would say, you failed. She would bring your results and say, you failed this term. I would say, no, mommy, I didn't fail. You'll go and check most of our mates. Most of them didn't get more than this, more than that. She would just bring your result sheet. She would say, look at your result sheet. Argue with it. And that's what she used to say. Argue with it. So my siblings and I grew up saying that phrase. And when we were discussing, we would say, shh, argue with it. Look at your results. You have, out of 10 subjects, you have 8 of them F9, and you say you did well. She would say, argue. Don't argue with me. Argue with your results. So that is how life is. Life is like a balance sheet. You say you are doing well in life. Look at the facts and argue with it. Against the indicators that you have set, that at this time I will do this, at that time I will do that, and these are the things I want to do. So if you are doing it, you know you are doing well. If you are not doing it, then you know where you stand. So you say there is a wheel on which the affairs of men revolve, and its mechanism is such that it prevents any man from always being fortunate. Then we'll go to the next one. It says harmony is power. This was the last one. All right. It says most men know that whatever seed they sow determines their harvest. Yet they don't apply this knowledge to mental sowing. And the question is why? Why? Whatever seed you sow, it must reap a harvest, whether you like it or not, either today or tomorrow. So the objective of this is telling us that we must also apply it, not just to our money, but also to our thinking process. In other words, what you think about today is a seed for what will happen in your life tomorrow. That's what it says. Okay, next. Next one, please. And it says harmony is power, discord is weakness. A few truths before we round up this first. It says no one can harvest a crop of health after sowing thoughts of disease. Do we agree with that? Do we agree with that? If all you are thinking of is sickness, like Sister Angela taught us this morning, if all you are thinking of is sickness, dying before your time, being weak, and so on and so forth, it is very unlikely that you will enjoy good health because you're already sowing those seeds. Do you know that there are some people that just because they have told them, they have diagnosed that they have XYZ disease, for some of them, their body begins to depreciate and they begin to die slowly. And it will amaze you that those same people, by the time they give another diagnosis and say, sorry, we were wrong, their body begins to pick up again because it's all in the mind. That is why you see some people, maybe a couple, they've been so close and they've lived for decades together in marriage happily. Then one passes away. The other one begins to contemplate thoughts of death. And most of the time, they don't last long. All right. So parting thoughts. It says life is just. Somebody say life is just. Life is just. It will give you what you pay for. And you say, the last one says you cannot succeed while doubting yourself. All right. Good. So we'll go to the next session. Now, in this one, we talked about three things. We said, think for yourself as the first subject matter. The second one was the law of use, and the third was objectiveness. All right. And it says, thought, not money, is the real business capital. And if you know absolutely that what you are doing is right, then you are bound to accomplish it in due season. Just stay there. It said, thought and not money is the real capital. Do we believe that? The way some people are looking at me, they are saying, no, bro, you don't understand. This one is in Igbo land in Nigeria. Money is capital. They say thought. Now, this guy have a Firestone, was a manufacturer, an industrialist. How many of you have seen Firestone tires before? Firestone tires. Okay, so this was the guy that discovered it. So he said, thought, not money, is the real capital in business. Because the business fortunes do not start with money. It starts with an idea. And an idea comes from your thoughts. So let's move forward. So, right thinking, it says, is the highest activity of the human mind. Because when you engage your mind in thinking and thinking right, you find that your mind becomes active. Say it takes time, you cannot rush the process, you must look at issues from all points of view. And it says, decisions made hastily without facts always end in regrets. This is wrong thinking, making decisions without facts. All right, let's rush through the three subjects. Right thinking. So you say a man was asked what traits of influential people most impressed him, and he said what? Thinking and acting for themselves. Think for yourself. Think for yourself. So if you will make progress in life, you will learn to think and act for yourself. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right. So out of these three, which one strikes you most? Mine is the last one. It says, education should prepare people to be nimble with change. That's to be flexible with change through right thinking. Education should not just box up. It shouldn't box us up, but it should teach us to be flexible in our thinking, to be able to change, from one paradigm to the other. All right. Next slide. It says, learn to rely on your judgment rather than on the judgment of others. Now, this is what I call herd thinking. Herd as in H-E-R-D. You know what a herd is? A group of animals going in a particular direction. A lot of us have boxed ourselves into herd thinking. In other words, we just assume, we just accept the norm and assume that it is so. So we just grow up thinking that this is how life is, and that is how it is. We just go towards that direction. We don't even bother to challenge or ask questions. So it says, do not abdicate the throne. What does that mean? Don't abdicate that space, that throne of you being the driver of your life. Don't give it to another person. Very important. Whether it's your dad, your mom, your teacher, your uncle, your mentor, your pastor, don't give them that steering to be the ones to steer your life. They can advise you, but you must learn to think for yourself. So tell your neighbor, think for yourself. All right, the law of use. It says if you use a thing, you strengthen it. And if you ignore it, what will happen? You weaken it. That's the law of use. Yeah. And it says we live in a world today where truth is relative. In other words, we don't know what is true anymore. To us, what is true is how we compare our life with another person's own. They say truth is relative, and so people no longer respond to issues based on clear thinking. And to become right thinkers, what must we do? We must enter situations where thought is not just only possible, it is what? Necessary. So there are some circumstances where you don't just have to think, but you are constrained to think. Research shows that man's ability to learn does not decrease with age, provided there are no barren spots in between. So don't say, I'm too old to go to school. A few truths there. Which one strikes you most? So to think on any level, you must have food for thought. There must be something to think about, something for your mind to chew on. And to think right requires some investigation and data collection. You cannot think in a vacuum. Okay, please, just one more. Just go back a little. You cannot think in a vacuum. You need knowledge and experience. And the last one says you can use advice from others, but you must do what? You must do what? You must do what? Reach your own conclusion. All right, next slide, please. The world we live in today requires what? We'll come to this when it gets to that time. More head and less hand. We need more people who can think. So the last one there is objectiveness. All right. And it says it is the willingness to look at all possible situations, outcomes, and discard those that are not in harmony with you. Is this possible? All right. Some truths there. See, as we think and face life decisions, it becomes more difficult for many to be objective. It says we often shut off the only solution to a problem because we refuse to consider it. We tend to look at alternatives we like and exclude those we are prejudiced against. And nothing leads to wrong thinking than more prejudice. Next slide, please. All right, some parting thoughts. It says, after thinking objectively, it must be followed with action. Somebody say action. To complete the cycle. Success is premised on not just much thinking, but quick thinking. And it says, many people in the world think but after it is too late. So they have already carried out the action before they begin to think. And Pastor K gave an example, which will be seen by some that has not been gender friendly, so I will keep that. He said there's a gender that usually acts first, then they will think later. I don't know. Do you know that gender? So it says thinking is an individual matter. Yes, it's an individual matter. It was not handed over to another person to do for you. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so having said all that, what are the things that jump out at you? Are there any areas that you had some experience and you want to share with us? Or you have a question, there's something that you've read there that you are still pondering on and you want to ask? We've said so many things. We talked about right thinking. Okay, we have a microphone. All right, so I hope we know that when we ask questions, everybody here will answer. Because when I see professors holding the microphone, and we also give room for those online to make contributions and ask questions. In fact, we give them priority. So those of us that are by the system, please let us know when we have online questions or contributions. So, okay.
So this is not a question, but to push your point clearly, because when we come to this gathering, if we don't learn better, we might take the wrong message out. Yes. If you go to judgment, Ovi, please go to judgment. So you'll see that it said, judgment, the slide on judgment. That you do not rely on your judgment, not others. So what you can easily take from that is, where is the place for learner mindset? So that's not what that slide is talking about. It's like you did mention, do not follow the general opinion. Step back a bit and think about it. And I'm sure in the truth column, we saw a space that says, articulate thoughts, but step back to understand where your thoughts really lies on. It is very critical. Yeah. Take feedback. That line is not saying don't take feedback. Take feedback, but be sure you're able to sieve the feedback, so you don't take everything that people throw on you and you start wavering like the leaf itself. Yeah. I just wanted to put that to the floor. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for that. Have they lifted the subsidy on clapping? Or do we still pay for it? All right, I thought so. Okay. So, bringing out what he said is very, very important. And I think we need to chip in on this. What we learned is that we need to take ownership of our thoughts and our actions. But it's also talking about a place for judgment. And it says that it is good to listen to advice. So learn to rely on your judgment rather than the judgment of others. So is it good to take advice from people? Is it good? Okay, so where do we draw the line between taking advice from others and taking our own decision? Where do we draw the line? And that is what he was trying to bring out. Is it that we shouldn't take advice from people and just go straight and do what is on our mind? Or before we take decisions, we should sit down and sample as many opinions as we can? I mean, where do we draw the line? And I want somebody to speak about that. Because there have been some situations where some people have taken decisions and those decisions have proved to be wrong. And when asked, why do you take that decision? They say, well, it's how the people, this is what they advise me on. And there are some people that just wake up, they don't ask anybody for anything. They just go ahead and they just do it, whether it's right or wrong. So where do we draw the line? I want somebody to try. Yes, talking about taking judgment. Yes. I can see some lovely faces looking at me. I know they want to answer it. They are waiting for me to point them out. So, okay. Yes, Elder. Like Sister Vicky now. Vicky is just smiling at me. I know she wants to say something. So maybe after this, she will say something.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Let me try. I think where to draw the line between taking decision based on what you know and taking decision based on the advice of others should depend on how much you know. For example, if you are sick, let's use that. You are sick and you go to a medical doctor and he or she tells you, this is the problem, these are the things you need to do. That's an expert opinion. You don't now go to a native doctor and ask what is wrong with you. So if it's an expert opinion from a reliable person you can trust, I think you should rely less on your own opinion than that of the expert. Again, if it's a subject that you can actually research on and get some more views, maybe more current views, you can also take the time. After hearing from the expert, you come do some research on your own to confirm that what the expert is saying is actually true. Then you now take your final decision and take ownership of that decision.
All right. So in other words, we should learn to rely on expert advice. All right. Thank you. Let's put our hands together for that contribution. Okay. Anidi is there. Vicky, you want to say something? Okay, afterwards. Okay, Anidi, let's hear from you.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right. I think it has to do with self-awareness. Yeah, if you're very much self-aware, you'll be able to censor every information you get. That has to do with the right principles, right values. If you have all of that put in place, I think, you're good to go. Yeah.
All right, self-awareness. Thank you very much. Put your hands together for that. So let's hear from Vicky.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would say if you have a clear destination where you're going to, and let's say there are maybe 3 or 4 routes to that place, and someone is telling you, take this route or take the other route. What should be important to you is getting to your destination. Is that route going to take you there? I'd use a recent example. This was between myself and PK. So he asked me to do a review on my CV. So there was something he said I should write. There was a way he asked me to write it. But when I looked at what the professional HR professionals advise and suggest, I went back to him and told him, what you're asking me to do is not what the professionals advise. This is the way they say I should put it. And he said, oh, if that's what they say, then follow what they say. So what's important is you have to be able to draw the line for yourself. What the statement is talking about, it's you who is going to bear the consequences of whatever actions you take. So you should leave the final decision for yourself. If I had taken what he said just as he said, it's my CV. At the end of the day, people are going to read it and they're going to think it's me.
Yeah.
But they're not going to know it's him.
Yeah.
But because I know that decision, the final result is going to be me, I also needed to do my own part to check what's the most modern way of putting this and what's the appropriate way of putting this. So that decision still, I had to take it. So that's what the statement is telling us, that remember that you're the one who is going to wear the shoes at the end of the day. So you're not going to have to blame anyone. So you have to think it through for yourself, aside whatever suggestions anybody may be offering you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Put your hands together for that one. I don't know how many of you here, I know we wouldn't like to own up. You see, but there are stories of people that during exams, when they enter the hall, you find out that their head is blank. And the only thing they do is to copy from their neighbor or spy from their neighbor. But some people are so good at it, or so dumb at it rather, that they not only copy, they will even copy the person's matriculation number and put in their own paper. So that's what we are saying. You see, the Bible says that in the multitude of counsel, what happens? There is safety. So it's good to seek counsel before you make judgment. But like what Elder is saying is that not just seeking counsel alone, seek the right counsel. Because he was talking about a particular issue. If you are seeking counsel for health matters, and you are talking to a doctor, and a doctor has advised you and given you diagnosis and prescription, then you now go and meet a native doctor and compare. It's like comparing apples and oranges. They are different. You will run into trouble. Because one will tell you to go and bring a live chicken and kill and spill the blood in the midnight. While another will tell you to go and buy some medication. So I like to counsel people that when you are seeking counsel, the person that you seek counsel for matters. Or the person that you seek counsel from matters. Because if you go and seek counsel from somebody that has no idea or little idea of what you are talking about, you might end up in error. I use the word might. There are some cases where true study, somebody can advise you. But there are some that it should be good or better for you to seek somebody that has expertise or experience in that area. For instance, I usually say that to drive from here to LMA Junction with mouth is very easy. Anybody can do it. And Yoruba people also say that to cook soup that is sweet is very, very simple. How do you cook simple? How do you cook sweet okazi? Simple. Cut the leaves, put it inside, put pepper, put salt, boil it, add this, add that. Just wait small, put oil. Once you bring it, it's nice. How do you drive from here to LMA Junction? Just enter your car, reverse, go straight, turn left, turn right, enter the road. But the day you enter that car and turn the keys, you know that it's a different matter. Have you seen people that cannot even reverse a car? Yeah. Some people cannot even put a car on reverse gear. They can't. Because talk is cheap. So when you ask people, oh, how do I get a job in Total? Very easy. Just have a master's degree. That's why some of us are in Port Harcourt today. Because they told us that, once you read anything petroleum or science, just go to Port Harcourt, you will just get a job. And some of us, we have been here for how many years now? So who you ask to take counsel from matters. And I want to bring this into the space of relationship and business. You cannot be asking advice from somebody that has little or no idea, or that is coming from, that has little or no idea of how to manage a relationship well, and tell the person to advise you on certain areas. You might fall into trouble. Yes, some people, if they've done it badly, they may coach you, they may teach you how not to do it. But there are some that want to repeat their same mistake in your life. And when you say like father, like son, like mother, like daughter, at times it's like that. Because when you see your father had a failed marriage and he's telling you to do the same thing that he did, that made him to end up there, you need to say, okay, I've heard. There's something that they say, okay, will not take you to police station. You said it's okay, I've heard. I've heard, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to apply it. Same thing with business. Same thing with business. There are a lot of business advisors today. But if you take their advice, your business will fall. Because they have little or no idea of how to do business. And not just how to do business in this part of the world. Are you hearing me? And that leads me to the next subject that we're going to talk about now. All right. Before I do that, there's a contribution online.
So this is from Brother Osinachi. He said, there are times where we have put in careful and objective thoughts regarding an action or decision. After acting on them, we discover that the decisions have turned out to be wrong. He also says, my experience has been to accept that your decision was made on the information and understanding available to you at that time. And that you are human and bound to make mistakes.
All right, let's put our hands together for Osinachi. Osinachi is our brother that is a pioneer in the Lagos branch of TICC. All right. Okay, so the next one is thought, not money. Thought and not money is capital for business. Thought and not money is capital for business. I want somebody to talk on that. Is it true? Is it false? If it's true, how true? If it is false, how false? Thought and not money is capital for business. How many of us agree with that? And how many of us do not agree with that? No, you can't stay on the fence, so you must join one. Yes. So is it true that thought is capital for business? Or money is capital? Capital is capital. Money is capital. Good. Who said money is capital? Who? Okay, so Samuski, money is capital. Yes, let's hear from you.
No, I was saying, I don't understand how the thought is the capital. I think we all have thoughts here, and I don't think it has brought out. So probably I need explanation because I have thoughts in my mind. I don't know how to make it become capital.
So
Thoughts and not money is capital. Okay, sir.
Let me try to
Thank you.
answer, provide some response, really. You're very right. Samoski, there are many thoughts, like a pastor will say, he has a brother in the village that thought about has almost killed him. But essentially, the thoughts you put forward is the real thing that makes the business. It's not the money itself. You might have all the money in this life. Well, you might not have it, but you might have good money to start a business. But if you don't put the right thought to it, that money can go into a hole and sink in there. So you must carry out. That's why you do research. I have money. I have perhaps 1 million naira. And I say, what can I do with this money? That is the thought. It's not in the place of, let me go and I see my friends doing MBA or MMM. Let me throw it inside. It's not a logical or methodical thought itself. I have this money. If I buy XYZ, I should be able to have ABC profit. If I reinvest it, if I do this. Now, when you put your thoughts down, you begin to see clearly what you can go into. Because you also ask yourself, what is, and using your SWOT analysis, what is the strength of this thought? What is the weakness? What is the opportunity I see here? What are the threats? That is thinking. That is also a place of doing feasibility study. You are thinking. But if you just get this money as your capital and just throw into a business that you don't know anything about, it will just end up entering the place you will also not know. And you'll be asking yourself, and you'll be saying, I have a hole in my pocket. There's no hole in your pocket. It is the lack of the thought process itself. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's put our hands together of that. Okay, we have let's start from Elder. Let's start from Elder, Anidi, then we'll have a brother here, Brother Jumbo. So Elder, please.
Yeah, thought is the real thing.
Okay, so sorry, sir. Are you answering his question or?
I just want to contribute.
Okay,
to
contribute.
it.
Okay, fine.
Yes. Yeah, because as we are told, at the time UAE was coming to Nigeria to borrow money.
Okay.
At the time, Nigeria was saying the problem is not money, but how to spend it. So today we know where UAE is,
Yes.
where Nigeria is. So you can have a lot of money. If you don't have the right ideas, that money will just go down the drain.
Vanish.
But if you have a way of making light available in Nigeria, for instance, as we stand now, using little to nothing, you can be sure you make the money. So, thought for me is the real capital.
Capital for business. Thank you very much. So, and we are from Annie D.
All right, I also agree that thought is actually the real deal. You know, like the Bible will say, is that which of you would want to build a house would not sit down to count the cost.
Okay.
You will sit down to actually put one or two together to know what you want to do. So I'm going to give an analogy. You know, so the Bible says that the wise man builds his house on a rock.
Yes.
You know, so please don't take me out of context.
Okay.
But let's put the thoughts
Okay.
as the rock
Okay.
and money as the sand.
Okay.
You know, so when storms come,
Yes.
I mean,
To wash away the
yes,
money.
it's going to wash away. Like we gave an analogy of MMM and the rest of Ponzi
Yeah.
schemes.
Yeah.
You know, there was no thought put in place.
Yes.
They just told you about a business scheme, a Ponzi scheme, and you just went ahead to put your money. And tomorrow you're shouting, "Is my rent? Is my rent?" You know, you didn't put a lot of thought into that.
All right.
You know, but I mean, you sit down, whatever I'm doing today, like it's just like a pregnant woman. The woman does not give birth immediately. She takes in, and that pregnancy is on for as long as 9 months.
Yeah.
While she's getting to the 9 months, a lot of things she's expected to do.
Yeah.
She goes for antenatal and a lot of things, you know. And when it gets to her EDD,
Yeah.
she's giving birth. All things being equal.
All right.
Hopefully there are no complications. So thought is actually the real deal. Thank you.
All right. God bless you. Please, for those of us that don't understand, I have not reached that level. What is EDD? Expected date of delivery. Some of us will not understand, but if you know, you know. Okay, Jumbo.
Praise God.
Yes, EDD.
There's also ETA too. Okay, so I just want to give a little twist to this. I mean, one of the importance of why we're all seated here for lead is for us to have the right thinking.
Okay.
And it's also very fortunate that our mainstream topic for the month is reposition.
Yes.
Yeah, so I noticed when you asked that question, a lot of us just fell to the norm.
Yeah.
And what's the norm? The norm is you have to have money before you think of a business.
Yes.
That's the norm. So that was the natural place for most of us seated here. And that was where our thoughts drove us to. But it's time for us to begin to think that you necessarily don't have to tie a business to money.
Yes.
That shouldn't be your natural point of call. So it's very important that we shift our mind from thinking money is what drives the business to ideas is what naturally should drive the whole concept of having a business. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
So it's time for us to reposition because it's natural for everyone to, money and idea, which comes first? Is money.
Yes.
So let's get to that point where we now start seeing ideas
Yes.
as the primary point of call for driving the
business.
process of business.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like us to put our hands together for that. All right. Now, okay, we'll come to you, Light. Light, just hold on. Now, have you seen a business that is making progress? A business that has stood the test of time? Or, let me use a church, for instance. Let me give an example using a church. There was a time in a particular church where it was said that they had a thriving branch in another country, in Ghana also. Then all of a sudden, the pastor in charge of that church, for some reason, decided to change the name of that church, believing that he had put in so much and he decided to break away. There was a lot of talk on social media about that, but the guy said he wasn't going back. So when they talked to the founder to respond, he said, okay, no problem. If you choose to do that, fine. He said, but even if you take all the branches of that church away from him, the church will still thrive. Because what makes that church is inside him. So you see the example of UAE that Elder talked about. They didn't just have money and say, let us buy land. The land was there, desert. But in that desert, somebody had envisioned 20, 30, 40, 50 years ahead what will be on that land before they started looking for money. So I can tell you that for the next 100 years in the UAE, they have plans. So when the money comes, it executes plans. So that is the business model. Somebody thinks of a particular product and says, this is the kind of product that I want to do. When I first came into TICC, one of the first questions I asked PK one-on-one is that, how different is this church from XYZ? And he sat down and explained it to me. That was the catch. That's why I'm here. If you just said this church is good, it's Holy Ghost filled, every church is Holy Ghost filled. What's the difference between your business and another business? That talks about thought. Tells you that you have thought about this business, how this business will bless people, how it will bring solutions first, how it will be different from the other ones. Then as it goes, money will begin to come in because you have thought about it. So that thought, you see, some people can sit down and think of 20 businesses, and out of those 20, they will start only one because they say, I have capital for this one, before they begin to ask for money. So that's what we mean by thought is the real thing you put on ground. So let's hear from the online contribution that we'll have from our brother here.
So this is from Sister Esther. She said, I agree with the ideology that thought is the capital you need, because thought will also help you better ideas for raising financial capital for the ideas you have thought about. That's for those, she said, it's continued and said, that's for those that specifically needs finance to bring their thoughts to life. And I think I understand what she's talking about. It is not every time that you need to have the financial capacity, really. Check out most fintechs and most startups. It is idea bettered by people.
Yeah.
They just need some other people to come and finance that idea itself.
Yes.
So you don't really need that capital, as it were. That's what she's trying to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, Brother Light.
Okay, praise the Lord. To me, I would say that thought is capital.
Okay.
Because a well-conceived thought brings about passion.
Good.
And a thought that is well-conceived is like fire.
It's like fire.
It's like fire on someone's bone.
Okay.
And you cannot have rest until you have conceived it. I just want to use myself as an example.
All right.
The food hampers last year came as a result of thought. I was in lead like this. I just zoomed off, but I was not here. I was here, but my mind was not here. And someone said, Light, what are you doing? You're in church and you're calculating business. I said, that is not it. But by the time we got to the end of the year, towards the end of the year, I just put that thought into action with what is at my disposal. I was not having the capital, but I had some things at my disposal. I just arranged them, packaged them. And 4 of that hampers could confidently pay house rent for me.
Wow.
So a well-conceived thought can bring about the capital you need to start the bigger thing you want to do.
Exactly. Let's put our hands together for that. Wonderful. All right. All right. Does anybody have anything to say about this? Okay, yes. Husband has spoken now. Wife wants to speak.
Okay. If I get what Resamoski was asking is, we all have thoughts. We want to do things, but how would the money is not there. That's why we cannot achieve this our thought. For me, I would say yes, thought is the capital. It's one thing to think, it's another thing to be persuaded by what you've thought. Yeah. If you think about it and you're not even persuaded, like you're not convinced about that thing, you will not see yourself acting towards it. If you have a plan for a business and you have that conviction in your heart that this business is going to work and I want to do it, you see yourself even making things out, let me say, for instance, like you were supposed to use 20,000 naira for a meal. You see yourself removing some little cash, gathering them, and you see yourself at the end of the day, you'll be able to execute that plans. I'll use myself for an instance. There was a day I went to market and then I was passing by. I saw where they were doing this thriftwear collection. And I had this interest to do it. I sat and I thought of it, but the capital was not there. I had little cash. But as funny as it may sound, there were these used parts that my husband removed from his car. I had to call those guys that sell and buy those stuff. I called them, they bought it. I gathered the money with the little I had, and today I'm doing that business and I'm continuing it. It was because I was persuaded by the thought I had.
We need people like you to help us in Nigeria. She gathered all the used parts. I mean, that's awesome. Put our hands together for that again.
Praise the
Wonderful.
Lord.
All right, so Brother Koki.
I think it was Pastor Sam Adeyemi that said, you start with a thought and not money.
Okay.
I get why Saboski said something about money.
Yes.
But the thing is, even people with plenty money, they bring people to think for them.
To think for them.
There's a lot of money in knowledge business right now. So, again, if you have money and you're bringing me to think for you, that means it starts with a thought.
Thoughts. All right. Thank you very much. Is there any other contribution on this? Yeah. Sir, you want to say something?
Please, sir.
Brother Chooks.
Thoughts and money.
Yes.
I think they are one because it's the thought that brought the money. So I don't know how to put this. And also there are some people that cannot think right until they have money. Because you are confused, you are hungry. They say you should think right. Sometimes it's very difficult. So I don't think we should separate it. For me, it's the thought that brought the money.
So he said, thoughts and money, they are one. I would like somebody that has not spoken before to just share. There's no wrong or right answer. Thoughts and money are one. Can we speak to that? All right, our sister. Yes.
Okay,
You wanted to say something else?
Yeah.
Okay, can you speak to that and say what you want to say?
Okay, I have a different ideology.
Thank you.
Because I'm not going to totally agree with what he has said.
Oh, good.
So, in 2019, 2018, I was working somewhere, but it was as if I was being pushed to go to work.
Yes.
So I told myself I needed to start something. So not even knowing what I wanted to start, I resigned, started my master's, and then I registered my business name.
Okay.
Just like, okay, this is there. So for me, thoughts is, I've been saying it, thought is the first thing first, not even the cash.
All right. Thank you very much.
I
Okay. So you don't agree with what he said?
No, I don't agree with what he said.
All right. So Samoski is at the back. Samoski wants to say something.
You will die of thoughts if you don't have money. Thinking will kill you. So
Okay. All right. Okay, so I can see that. Okay, let's hear from. Okay, the elders want to speak now. Please, can we just calm down? 3 elders want to talk. I think in the witness of these 3 elders, the matter will be settled. So please, our time is fast spent, but I want to appeal for just a few more minutes. So that we can accommodate these thoughts and round up. Sir, let's hear.
God. I've just been thinking,
You've been thinking?
Yes. And my thought is in alignment with what Chuk said.
Wonderful.
If money is what makes you think, how would this thought come when you don't see the money? That's actually what I've been passing through my mind. So let's speak to that.
All right.
Okay, my input is, I think it's about balance. Yes. And then let's really put it into context. My understanding of the thought Samoski is talking about is the kind of thought that inspired Brother Light's wife to take action.
Yes.
Not thinking to the point of having high BP without necessarily taking action. So let's understand it.
Yeah.
There are 2 different things. Then, no matter how well-crafted the thoughts are, at least there's always that capital input. it may not be massive capital like you're going to the bank to take a loan. It can be as small as the little money that you will need to run around, logistics, in order to connect the enablers that will birth the thought you have. So let's really put it in context. Both are very important, but in order of priority, definitely the thinking or the thoughts take priority. Praise the name of the Lord.
Thank you. So we have how many more hands coming up? Well, can we just keep it short and we just cap it at these last two hands? Okay.
It's just a personal experience.
Okay.
When I left school, I was normally I waited for some time before going for service.
Okay.
And I was not living with my parents. I was alone.
Okay.
Now I'm a graduate. I just want to, and hunger nearly finished me, like he said. But I said I studied something that people are looking for. I studied biochemistry, so I can teach chemistry, I can teach biology. And I'm dying of hunger, waiting for youth service. I approached somebody that runs all this crèche, a private school. I said, please, let me use your center to be doing evening classes for people writing JAMB and WAEC. It was not capital.
It was just thinking.
It was just thinking, relationship. And we placed a banner. She said, okay, you will use my school, but for every fee they pay, this is my percentage. I was living in Rumukuta. The school was at NTA. I would trek from my house to NTA with my umbrella. To the extent my sister was calling me headmaster. But yes, I didn't make much, but that kept me busy. And along the line, I started learning other skills that made, I became a millionaire before I went to serve. It did not come, it started with that thought.
Okay.
From there, other things started coming up. So I imagine I was looking for money to build a school. I will still be thinking by now.
All right, thank you. Okay, Izu, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Good morning.
Morning, Izu. 30 seconds.
We've been how do they put it? We've been philosophizing the answers.
Philosophizing.
Yes. So let me be a little bit controversial. Because I'm an Igbo man.
Okay.
And I'm from Newi. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
so
in our village, how we do it.
Yes.
You go for an apprentice. Well, apprentices, we don't know how to speak English, so pardon me.
Apprenticeship.
So, yes. You do Mwa boy. Yes. After Ibacha boy, then your Oga will settle you. And when your Oga settles you, what does your Oga do to you? Ego.
You give you money.
Your Oga gives you money for you to do what? Start business. Yes, I understand the area of thought this, thought that, thought the other. Yes, when we start putting in the area of priority and all that, and we start talking about our work and different things, we are in church. But money, even most of us that say you sold parts, your used parts, and you raise money so that you can start that business. So,
all right.
Looking at that sentence, thoughts and money, what is the real business capital? Remember, I'm trying to be a little bit controversial. So, money is the real business capital. Because without the money, you won't start the business.
All right, thank you. The last one. No, I'm sorry. We may have to talk about this next time. 20 seconds.
Church, good morning.
Good morning.
Like both my brother just said, Brother Sammy and Brother Chooks. Brother Sammy, his own is give me 1 million naira.
Yeah.
Then I thought of something to do. Well, at the same time, what I'm trying to say, thought is the first aspect of it. Because if you give me 1 million naira, you'll be dabbling in your head, what am I going to do with it?
All right.
Like I usually said. But to me, thought is the number one thing. You have to have the thought first before you investing what you do.
So for those of us that still raise our hand, we may have to shift it till next Sunday. But let me just chip in as we round up. Now, you need to ask yourself first, what is capital? That's what you need to ask yourself first. Can I have your attention? What is capital? That is what will tell you which is which first, not what happens in Nigeria. So what is capital? Capital refers to the resources you need to start any venture. And they could be tangible or intangible. The intangible capital is thought. Now, even for the person that has money and uses the money to execute, the person is using money to execute what somebody else has taught. So thought of what to do comes first. Then the money to do it comes next. That is why we said more head, less hands. With these few thoughts of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We have just a few minutes before service. God bless you.